Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And we're back for another Pan Talk.
Pan Talk. This is the month of May.
The first time we played it.
And as always, there will be spoilers in this video.
Yes.
So if you have not played Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and do not want any spoilers, stop watching. You shouldn't even be here in the first place.
What did you do?
A random month of this series.
But no.
But you're still welcome to like this video and subscribe.
Do that before, and then once you've played it, come back and watch. Yeah, so we're into May, and things are getting dicey, to say the least.
And there aren't any dice so far.
Yet. We're hoping for some dice. But we learned about barricades.
We learned about barricades. We unlocked these barricade tokens, which pretty much you can go into a city. Right here it says, or roadblocks, I guess they are. Place roadblock markers on any or all routes connected to your city. Your region must have a military base in it. So as we had kind of been thinking, the military bases are becoming more and more important as we play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right away we kind of not probably put them out there like we should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's looking like we might want to get some military bases out across the board, along with.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got our 3 research stations pretty scattered. We kind of have one on the left, right, and center.
Just a straight line across here.
So maybe we need to put our buildings out either a little north or south of the current line we have drawn there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to probably get one up in maybe the Essen.
Essen, St. Petersburg, Paris, maybe. Yeah.
I think that'd probably be a good place to go with our next one, maybe. But no, we ended up losing to the old virus this time.
Yeah, our second loss.
Second loss in 3 plays.
It's
not good.
It's going down.
Because our last one we had, we won in the second attempt of April. So then we lost those cards again. Yeah. We lost the funding. But now we're going to luckily get some funding back, and we'll see. And actually, the funny thing is, when we got the funding back for the last game, after being at 0, we didn't even draw one of the 2 cards we had in the deck. So we didn't even, it's like we had 0 funding for that one, too.
But our spirits were high because of that funding.
We were hoping for those cards. But no, this game it's kind of a weird start. I don't even really remember where the cards were. I just know there weren't too many reds that came out.
No, there weren't, because the only red that we got, because the bonus that we got for completing April and being victorious, we got to remove one of the faded figures, which we talked about in the previous month, how they were introduced. So at the beginning of this one, a bonus was we got to remove one from the board, and there was only one red area drawn, so one spot with faded figures, and that was, I believe it was Jakarta.
Yeah, so then that was the only one that had faded figures to begin the game, so yeah, we got to remove one from there, but then the rest of them were kind of all randomly throughout the board. I didn't really feel like any one color was much worse than the others to start. They're all pretty even.
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't a lot of direction at the start of the game.
Yeah, because they were just all really spread out randomly. There wasn't like, oh, let's go take care of this area early. So yeah, that kind of got us off to kind of a weird start, because then we ended up using those roadblocks.
Yeah, I went and roadblocked pretty much all of the routes surrounding Hong Kong, except the one going out into Kolkata, which was not an area that would spawn the faded. It did end up becoming one of those areas later on.
Throughout the game, yes, it did become one of those areas. But yeah, so I had gone out, because we ended up using a new quarantine specialist. Family member with Mr. Gus Smiley. so that they both, if we started in the same city as a family member, we gain 1 extra turn, which I'm pretty sure we only did on the first turn.
Yes,
so we did not take advantage of that. But then I played Host Smiley, the quarantine specialist, so once per turn, I was able to use a quarantine action to place a quarantine marker anywhere on the board. And quarantine markers are never removed from a city that I'm in. So I kind of just tried to spread quarantine markers all over that area early on, since none of them were really...
To protect that, and as well, we had an objective. We had to complete 3 objectives, so we had the basic one of curing the 3 diseases that can be cured, eradicate 1 disease, then we had quarantine 7 faded cities, so yours was going to be really helpful for doing that over there. Or else we could also go for have a military base, which are those green buildings in each of the 6 regions of the world, which there's kind of some faded white lines separating the regions.
And we had kind of decided we were going to try to do the cure, and then eradicate 1 of them, and then try to get the 7 regions. Versus putting the 6 buildings out, since we didn't have any placed at the beginning. We figured that was going to be tough, and then we realized that Hong Kong was just right barely on this edge, and then it didn't. Later on in the game, didn't work out. Good for us if it had been over. I mean, it would. I don't think it would have changed anything in the outcome of the game, but it kind of made it hard to be able to try to complete that, I think.
Yeah, it did.
Then what kind of happened? I don't. We both our hand. So my hand. And then one thing too that changed with Coda, or the red now faded thing, is that anytime we draw a red card.
So at the end of your turn, you draw 2 cards.
Anytime we draw a red one, it adds a faded to that city. So that's another way for them to get added outside of just the what is the deck?
Just the infection.
The infection deck. So that wasn't great.
It was not great.
Especially since...
but you luckily started with 3 red cards
in your hand. I started with 3 red cards in my hand, which is good and not good at the same time, because they were not useful for curing anything.
Not useful for going over there and doing anything.
Especially since we started there and then tried to kind of block everything off early. We were kind of hoping to be able to do that and then get out and then try to save the rest of the world. But and then your cards were a rainbow of cards. You had 1 of every color, so we didn't really have a direction there either.
And it was a struggle because our hands were that way pretty much the whole game.
You ended up eventually getting the 5 yellows.
But that was a lot of work. We had to put everything into going down there, getting each other cards, because we were kind of spoiled last time by some abilities that we had with relationships, and it was easier to pass cards to other players. But this time we didn't have those, and we felt it.
For sure, it felt really tough. This felt like it was on a hard mode, and then looking back at the last one we played with those ones, it felt easy just based on how their chemistries work together. It was interesting because I thought this would be really helpful, laying out those, but I think we would have been better off maybe playing the same 2 we'd played before, and just had Gus go around building those buildings in the different areas and going for that instead. So it didn't quite work out how we'd planned. Because like you said, we never ended up, and we were having to spend cards, the ones that we wanted to keep. The blacks and blues,
because it was
just to try to keep up with.
Because it was taking so long to get things done, and finally got yellow, and then we're like, okay, this has gotten way out of hand over on this side of the board, so we had to try to go over there, but there was not really an efficient way, so we had to spend our cards that we needed to cure those diseases, the blue and the black, and we had to use those cards to actually get over there and stop outbreaks from happening.
Right. Which sort of worked, but then, I mean, we could tell it...
It was going to be
you
a
had
miracle.
said a few rounds before we lost, you're if we win at this point, it's going to be pretty much a miracle. Because, just the worst part where it just seemed like these clusters of 3 cubes were just not... I mean, up here they were together, but all the rest of them were just totally separated from each other, so it wasn't necessarily causing like big reactions outside of, I think if something would have happened over here, if I hadn't been able to put some of the quarantine markers over there, I think that could have been a lot. But over here, there wasn't really any chain reactions that were going off. It was just they were all over the board, and there was no
some
easy
in Atlanta.
way.
You have over here in Kinshasa, then you have some up here in Essen, a little in Istanbul, and some over here in the red. It's just all so spread out.
Right. I think we had some in Riyadh as well, which almost none of them were really connected to one another. Outside of, at one point, we had London, Essen, and St. Petersburg all with 3, I think. We were able to actually stop that before something really bad happened, which was good, at least. But it just wasn't enough, because the turns, we had to pretty much dedicate full turns to that, which just meant all these other places were getting more cubes. And then I think we hit another epidemic, and it just all fell apart.
It really did.
So yeah, and really when you look at it, I had 3 black cards, you had 3 blue, you had 2 blacks left, and I had 1 blue. We weren't really even close to getting...
that's a lot of turns to get those cards.
Right. It was a struggle, for sure.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about too, I think you would have been able to do black if you had never spent any of them, because you did keep getting black cards. It'd be like right after you'd spend one, then you get another black, and it's like, should have just kept it. But but then I don't know. We would have probably lost anyway from not trying to stop those from setting off. But then, what did we... So then we ended up, even though we lost, so we're going to get 2 funding. We got the rewards of we're going to start with building in Hong Kong. So now we're going to have both.
We're going to have a research station and a military base. So I think our games are going to start off pretty much the same. We're going to kind of put roadblocks around Hong Kong, try to protect it as much as possible. But I guess if we draw right off the bat to add like 3 cubes in there, there's really not much we can do about it.
That is true. So we wouldn't be able to get rid of those. I guess we can put a quarantine marker in there. But it's... But then at least if we surround it, it won't spread it.
That's true.
So...
but then if that ever levels up and wipes out both those permanent buildings, that's going to be tough.
That is going to be tough.
But along with that, we also got local pressure for Gus Smiley. That is an upgrade. If you are in a military base, you may quarantine an adjacent city with the quarantine action. We thought that probably paired pretty well with the Hong Kong military base. So we can kind of go in there, protected by these barricades, and just quarantine
all over. So we'll see how that works. We're really hoping. So Gus might be a main player, big player in our games. We're going to have to protect him at all costs. Because I think if he goes, it's going to be tough for us, I think. I think next time, or this next attempt at the month of May, we're probably going to have to get some of those buildings out there built. Just for not only to try to win that round, but probably for the future rounds as well. Like we said, I think they're going to be pretty important. So I think we got to definitely figure out where we want a couple more of those buildings. But that is the first attempt at the month of May for Pandemic. If you've made it this far and you've liked the video, please give us a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to see the rest of these videos as they're released. I'm sure we will continue losing, because we need 4 straight losses to open the special box, the spoiler box. I don't know what's in there.
We thought it was impossible.
But now we're starting to see. It was, things have changed the first few games to now. It felt like we couldn't do anything wrong before, and now it's just...
We shouldn't have taken a break. We should have just, steamrolled right through the campaign.
Never lost anything.
Gotten rusty.
Yeah. So we're back at our second attempt of
May. Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Yes. And this may seem like we just played it right after, but this is actually about 4 months later.
Yes. I wonder if we are wearing the same clothes. I doubt it. I don't think I even had this shirt back when we filmed that last one.
Yes. We haven't had a chance to get back to it, so we had to kind of reread the rules and rethink of what our strategies were going into this one.
Yes.
But yes,
I can guarantee I was wearing this hat. Likely. Very likely.
Very likely. But yeah, so... Oh yeah, spoilers.
Spoilers.
We gotta say that again.
Yes.
But yeah, so we knew we needed... Well, I think what we wanted to do, because I could remember that there was something about barricades I wanted to do.
Yes.
I think I wanted to block off a part of the board.
Yes.
So we tried to set ourselves up to do that.
Yes. So
while also completing our objectives.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, the whole game kind of... I think this one went a lot better for us than the last one. Right away, it looked like it was going to be, oh shoot, this could be really bad really quick.
Yeah.
Because they pulled an epidemic immediately.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, so we just pretty much put barricades all around. We have a research station and a kind of the military base in Hong Kong. So we both started out in Hong Kong and just put barricades or roadblocks completely surrounding the city just to protect that. And we also put a quarantine token there, and it's actually the only spot on the board of that color, the Coda virus, that is not faded. We believe we don't change it as long as the cards aren't drawn to add any there. And with that quarantine token and those roadblocks, none were. So.
Yeah, because we've just from what I remember, we always just quarantine that almost immediately. So and just keep it quarantined. So, yeah, we ended up, I played Shirley Temple, the scientist, who only needs 4 cards of the same color to discover the cure. And then also, she's able to use a military shuttle flight action with one of her, what are they called, upgrades.
Yep.
So I could kind of move around the board with her and have an easier time fighting the viruses.
Yeah.
And you played as?
I played Host Smiley, Gus Smiley's daughter.
Yes.
She's going off on her own now.
Yes.
Didn't think she needed daddy anymore. She's going to go with her good friend Shirley. Also, I think she's co-workers with Gus. So,
yes.
So friends of Gus.
Yeah.
Friends and family. But yeah, she is the quarantine specialist. So once per turn, she may use a quarantine action to place a quarantine marker anywhere on the board. And they are never removed from a city she would be in. So, we thought that was good, and she had the upgrade to be able to move from the military bases, and she's also kind of got that military tag as well, so they kind of worked together decent there. Plus, one of the objectives was to get 7 quarantine tokens in faded cities, so I think taking Miss Smiley here was a no-brainer.
Yes, yeah. Because it was either there was 4 objectives we had to get rid of or do 3 of them, and our other option was to get the military outposts in all the areas and to start. We didn't have any areas stickered outside of the 1.
Yeah.
So that was going to take a decent amount of work considering we didn't have either one of ours really help build them.
Yeah.
But we kind of kept that in the back of our mind as another option. If we needed to.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, kind of towards the end, I wish we had maybe focused on getting a couple of those earlier in the game,
feel like
just in case.
We waited. We ended up getting black and blue cured and eradicated, and yellow cured as well.
All pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly,
especially we cured and eradicated blue like almost immediately. There was only 1 blue city that actually came out. And we were able to luckily get that. You got that with your 5 cards.
Yeah.
I had gotten yellow before that with 4, like pretty quickly. But somehow there'd been a lot of yellow cards, so there was. And I think it had exploded in Miami. Yeah. Which made that a level 2. So that kind of caused it to be very spread out.
Yeah, it was very spread out.
That was kind of the one we have two
upgrades
for. So we really wanted to eradicate it.
We did. And it's one of the 3 that we did not end up eradicating.
Yes.
Because that exploded, I had an upgrade that we had on this Jakarta card. Grassroots program. The person who plays this card may discard up to 3 city cards, removing 1 cube of the color of each card from anywhere on the board. So we were planning to use that if I could get some yellow cards in my hand, kind of clear all those odd yellow cubes just out on the board, and because that would be much more efficient than moving, picking one up, moving, picking one up.
Right.
But you were the one that was drawing all of the yellow cards.
Yep.
And I only had one.
Right. You were not able to. Well, you got one towards the very end, or second one, but you just had that one for the longest time, and we had way more cubes than that, and it wasn't going to kind of help us do anything. So you were kind of holding on to that.
I think that was pretty futile. We decided to kind of go for that when. Yeah, we probably should have just focused on getting those military stations built.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we just kind of waited on those two because you need 3 of the 4 objectives. It's been a while, so hopefully all 4 of those are supposed to be out there. They were the only 4, I assume.
Yeah.
So it was either quarantine 7 faded cities or build the buildings. It probably should have been chosen one from the start of the game to do.
And worked on it together.
Yeah.
Especially since we did do all that so quickly and eradicated 2 of them in the middle of the board.
I think just because it was so juicy and able to complete those, that distracted us probably a little bit, where it's like, oh, we can get blue, and we just ignored the rest.
But yes, we haven't, I don't know that we've actually said it yet, but we did actually successfully complete it on the very last turn.
We did.
Otherwise we would have ran out of cards and lost.
Yes, so there was a moment there where you were in Lagos and you could have built a station or a military base, and I said no.
Because I think we had 5 of the
quarantine tokens in faded cities. So I'm like, I'll be able to run through here and we'll be able to do it. And if it gets bad over here, you can always just go from because you were planning on going down through South America and clearing some of the yellow, because we still kind of wanted to do that, if possible. And I said, once you get up to our research station in Bogota, you can shoot over here to Khartoum and maybe build in Lagos if we need to do that. And the deck still seemed like it had quite a few cards in it. I was like, oh, I was actually surprised because it seemed like it was more than. Seemed like we've been playing for quite a while, but it looked like it still quite a few cards left. But very quickly, the deck got very low.
Yes,
and we knew we were down to just a few turns left.
Right.
So then building those stations was surely out of the question. So then we just panicked, and we knew we had to get quarantine tokens in those faded cities, because it did go bad. We drew a few red cities where we had quarantine tokens.
Take them back
out. So then we kind of both were setting out to do that. And at that point, if you start your turn on a spot with faded figures, you gain a scar. So I was kind of dipping into this area and jumping back out to just kind of put some tokens in and get out. But at that point, I knew
you had to go for it.
I had to go in there, even though we haven't gotten any scars the entire game. I'm like, we're not going to win the game. So I really felt like a hero there. Yeah. I'm like, I just got to go in and get those tokens laid down. So Ho did go in there, Miss Smiley, and do that, and ended up getting a scar at Ho Chi Minh City, which ended up giving her regretful, which she's probably regretting telling her friend not to place a military base in Lagos. And that is, discard a card, if you have one, every time you leave a city with 3 cubes of the same color.
And we're assuming that doesn't mean figures.
Yes, because with the kind of description on the virus, it says place the faded figures instead of cubes. So we assume that doesn't mean that.
Right.
But
but we still were able to pull it off.
Yes.
So then we got a couple rewards from it, and also a benefit that ended up being something that you were like, I wasted time doing this now.
Yes.
But first we could just say the benefits we got.
So we get 2 upgrades at the end of the game.
Yep.
We ended up putting a military base up in Milan, just to kind of get more in all the different regions. Plus, it's just so hard to get up to that area.
We don't have anything up there right now.
Yeah.
We kind of and are just along the middle pieces of the board.
Yeah. We've got Bogota, Khartoum, and then Hong Kong as well.
So we thought we better permanently put one of those there to kind of open up the board a little more for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then also we got an upgrade for Shirley Temple. Archive access. Increase your hand limit by 1 card. We thought that'd be really good considering she needs 4 cards of the same color to discover the cure. We thought those would pair well together.
Yeah.
So hopefully she'll be one of our top people moving forward, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully she does not die.
Get lost.
Get lost.
Character.
But yeah, so then you can explain the card we got.
We had kind of set out at the beginning of the game to get barricade tokens to make permanent as our upgrade at the end of the month, or at the end of the game. But since we were victorious in June, any game starting in June, we will get to place 3 barricade tokens at the beginning of the game, which it feels like that might have been a trap. Like maybe we should have just made those permanent with our upgrade, but just because it's going to allow us to place them, we decided against that because we are going to be able to get those out there anyway next game.
And we'll see when we start the next game whatnot. Maybe
it'll
be like, oh, you should have put a lot more barricades out there, and then we'll make hopefully whether we win or lose. I will use one of our upgrades to maybe make those permanent or some of the other ones that we end up putting out. Because I think we'll want to probably start doing that, but we'll probably want to put them in, I don't know, probably specific areas of the board. Work on that. And maybe, if we do it once there, maybe then we can, because actually the virus is starting to spread over to North America. The faded.
Moved from, I believe it was Manila over to San Francisco. Don't know how that happened, but it's got the line there. So yeah, it's coming to North America.
Yeah, otherwise, outside of that, I mean, I don't think we really lost much ground.
Yeah, I think we kept that. It didn't spread over into the black virus area too much, or not really at all, and. We kept it pretty contained.
Yeah, I think overall what did we have? We only had 2 outbreaks, I think. So Miami going from 1 to 2, and where did Manila going to 1.
Yep.
So we luckily didn't have too many outbreaks. We kept everything, most of it was because it seemed like we had a lot of red cards come out. So it just kept clearing off those markers that you kept putting out. So it was kind of a good and bad thing with that because then we didn't really have any other outbreaks. So I think that's kind of we won the month of May.
Our funding has gone back down
to 0.
So we will have no extra cards. So maybe we should be putting those action upgrades on those city cards. But
there's so much good stuff here that it's so hard to tell what you should be putting out there. I don't know.
We'll be set up to put great permanent barricades or blockades, and then they'll have some fancy new upgrade probably, and we'll just be like, I want that. I want the new thing.
Right. Yeah, it's so hard because we also had a military base down in Santiago, and I was briefly like, we could have 3 military bases out there then, which could be good. But it's so hard. There's so much good stuff.
I can see people say like, oh, I played Pandemic Season 1 like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, oh, could you really do that? But I can see now that there's so many different paths to go down.
That, and I think just depending on what happened in the game, it could play out very, very differently. Because if you have an explosion in some areas, it can cause a lot of damage really quickly.
Thankfully, we still only have level 2 and 3 max for those. They are just rioting some of these cities. We do not have any collapsing cities yet.
I'm just very worried about this area. I don't even remember what happened there, but we got a 3 and a 2 and a 2.
They
kind of all connected.
Exploded off of each other.
It's not good.
I remember.
Atlanta, our starting area, is the one place we have burned to the ground, and is our only 3, I think. We also have one in Kinshasa.
Oh.
So that was our tap talk for the second attempt.
Tap talk.
Or not tap talk.
Pan talk.
Pan talk for the second attempt at May.
But speaking of Tap Talk, go check out our Tap Talk series.
There we go. If you like Tapestry, go check it out.
Everyone who likes Pandemic Legacy loves Tapestry. It's just a fact.
Yes.
We're the scientists here. We know.
But otherwise, if you want to see further Pan Talks in the
Talk.
future, definitely subscribe and hit the notification. So each month, we're putting these out at a monthly rate. So if you want to see them, hit the subscribe.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next video. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.